Fight, Mike Orren and Michael Sitarzewski, all right? These are content masters. We're going to be arguing about digital content, all right? Mike got his start in publishing, actually spent some time at D Magazine, all right? Founded Pegasus News back in the day, if you've ever heard of that, and also founded Speakeasy, a content agency here in Dallas, and that is his history. Give it up for Mike. Michael Sitarzewski. If you don't know him by now, then you are not part of the Dallas tech community. Am I wrong?
You are. I will never say that.
Yes, you are. Yeah,
that's not my job.
Michael runs LaunchDFW. All right, LaunchDFW is the glue of the Dallas startup scene, and I tip my hat to him because we try to be a part of that. Our biggest community advocate and a veteran of multiple startups. All right, so let's talk about this topic. And this was a tough one for these guys to come to grips on because there are so many things to talk about, and it's so nuanced that it's hard to even tell what side you're on. But they figured it out, and they've got a good fight for you. So I'll throw some terms out there, and then they'll take it and run with it. Content is killing advertising. Ads are still alive, and they still work. Content is killing content. Ads aren't dead yet. Ads are dead. With that in mind, who's going to go first?
Your Honor.
Michael Sitarzewski, you got a minute.
That's the theory that I'm going first. So we had a hard time discovering what this fight was going to be about. But we ultimately ended up on this conversation around content marketing. So you've got a story, and it's a beautiful story about a baby. And this baby is growing through the years, and you know, you're going through clothes, and you're buying new things all the time, and you hear this really wonderful story about this child going to the first day of school or something like that. And you're deeply involved. You're just enthralled by this story. And at the end of the story, you find out in the profile of the person who wrote the story that this might be sponsored content, and that you don't know whether to believe the opinion of the person that actually wrote this story because it was sponsored and paid for by an advertiser. So my question is, how do you know in the future of content that what you're reading is fact or paid for?
That's 1 minute. Mike, your opening salvo.
I'd say we know better now than at any time in our history what content was bought and paid for or wasn't. Content marketing is really the oldest form of marketing. If you look at whether it was John Deere using a magazine to promote tractors or the early soap operas, we've been selling for a long time. Lord Northcliffe once said that everything that somebody wants to prevent being said is news and the rest is advertising. What we do now is provide advertising that's actually useful and of value to the potential customer, whether or not they're a buyer. That is not a new paradigm in advertising, but it's becoming more pervasive because we don't want to be shouted at by display ads and interstitials and interruptions. It's just an evolution that actually takes us back to where advertising began.
Michael, your 30-second rebuttal.
The problem is when this isn't disclosed, right? I mean, you're supposed to disclose these things now, but nefarious blog posts and things pop up all the time where you don't know whether that content was paid for or not. I think as long as the rules are played by, I think we don't have a problem. But my problem is the ones that don't play by the rules, right? And the bigger question for me is there's a question of journalistic integrity. When you write a story about a subject or a thing, you want to be able to trust the author of that content to be telling you the truth and to be telling you the facts, not the paid-for facts.
Michael, your 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you want to know that what you're getting is the facts, but I think there's been a bifurcation that's been coming in journalism for a while. The person who's down at City Hall telling you what's happening, the person who's telling us where the dart line's going to go in Deep Ellum, they have to be completely unfettered by commercial considerations. The person telling you 6 fun places to go for a date in Dallas this week, while they should still be not telling you that a boring place is great, If it's a sponsor that's making that content happen, frankly, that's a new model for journalism. So I believe that there is a way to have your cake and eat it too in that space.
Excellent. Referees, you got a few seconds. All right.
At least I won't make a mistake with your names, Mike and Mike.
And Mike.
You're going to run a
And
sports.
Mike, moderator,
Are you at
Mike.
Sports Center or you're at the Fight Club? I don't know. But that aside, in the modern world of digital content and everything becoming completely driven by software, how do you worry about journalistic integrity when you can't survive without paying for the content? Look at New York Times, look at Washington Post. Washington Post has been acquired by Amazon and Jeff Bezos. So, Mike with the red shirt, how do you think that you would say that you can make money and not be, living on the streets while producing content? And Mike with the mud-colored suit, how do you think journalistic integrity would survive? So by the way, it's a bifurcated question. It's a different question to each of you. Right. How would you think journalistic integrity survives without getting sullied and muddied by money?
So he told me earlier that it was light mustard. It was the color. All right, I'm going to let Michael Sitarzewski take that one first. 30 seconds.
So how do you survive? The question, if I may repeat, the question is how do you survive when you know that the logical outcome is sponsored content, right? I think there are other ways to do this. I think that sponsors are fine in the digital brand as long as they don't influence the content. That's my perspective on that question.
Mike
Yeah,
Orren.
and when you talk about the Washington Post, probably the best outcome for them was to have Jeff Bezos running them. Jeff Bezos isn't running them with a specific agenda. They're not talking about how to buy Amazon products on the front page. They're actually given the opportunity to survive. I think the bigger question and the bigger danger is in the mid-markets, places like Dallas and smaller, where if the newspapers can't survive, who's watching the Chicken Roost? Who's watching Dart? Who's watching DISD? If you can support that with sponsored content in softer, more lifestyle areas, I say go for it. I mean, that's very much what our parent company's done, Dallas Morning News, by starting and buying digital agencies. It's given them another outlet.
Okay, I'll call an audible. A tweet popped up on my phone, somebody asking what bifurcated means. Do you want to take that?
Split into two.
Split into two. All right, Jeevan, turn on voting, please. You have a minute. Stand up, guys.
Don't show the screen yet.
And the winner is... Mike Orren. There you go. Congratulations. Congratulations. Way to go, Michael.
Thank you, Zane.
All right.